water will soothe your throat.
Thank you. Thank you, my dear. I don't know what I'd do without you.
You should take better care of yourself, Franz.
It's getting worse. I think I may have to go to a sanatorium before too long.
Please don't talk that way, Franz. You have great strength in you. I'm sure you will regain your health soon. Come. Summer air here in the tear garden will do wonders for your lungs.
Dora.
It will be good for you.
I'm afraid at this point nothing is good for me.
Nothing is good for you? Are you speaking of your health or your soul?
I may be too far gone for double entendres.
The way you use multiple meanings for words in your stories, I very much doubt that you could stop now.
Come, let's go. Very sick.
I know that, dear, but you can fight your tuberculosis. For now, try to enjoy the fresh air, and please do not be any more glum than you usually are. That is bad enough.
I'm sorry, but you know me. I see the terribleness in all things.
Could you try to be positive for just one afternoon? Look around you. The day is so beautiful. The park is alive with flowers and trees, the people strolling, and the artists painting it all. It is like stepping out of the city into another world.
My dear, it is you who brings beauty to this park and everywhere you go.
That is a much better attitude. Now you're just trying to flatter me. Do you honestly think my head can be turned by just a compliment?
My experience, your head turns at the slightest provocation.
Oh, Franz.
Belinda, where are you? Why have you left me?
Little girl, whatever is the matter? Why do you cry so?
Belinda! Belinda is gone! I will never see her again.
Is Belinda your friend? She can't have gone far. Come, let's find her. Belinda!
Belinda!
Belinda?
Belinda!
Thank you, but it is no use. Belinda is not a person. Belinda is my doll. My beautiful doll. My companion with whom I do everything together. And now she is lost.
Lost?
I took her to this park with me on my walk with Nanny yesterday. Nanny was talking to the handsome police officers. Then Nanny said it was time to go home, and when we got there, Belinda wasn't with me. We have come back to the park to find her.
I'm sure something can be done. Franz, do something.
What do you expect me to do?
I don't know, you're a writer. Write something.
Shall I write a new doll?
I don't want a new doll. I want Belinda. My little Belinda.
I am very relieved to hear that, young lady, because I'm not sure I could write a new doll into existence.
Maybe you could write her something from the doll. It would be easy for you.
From the doll?
Yes, perhaps like a postcard or something, as if she's not lost but gone on a journey.
Interesting.
Now, little girl, whatever is your name?
My name is Lisette, if you please.
Lisette, it is charming to meet you. My name is Dora Diamont, and my friend here is Herr Dr. Kafka.
Guten Tag.
I am pleased to meet you.
Now tell me, is your doll adventurous? Has she gone missing before?
Oh, yes, miss, she has. She was once missing for a week, and I cried and cried. But she was found in the linen closet where I like to play.
I suppose Belinda liked to play in the linen closet too. She sounds like the kind of doll who might like to travel. I know what it is like to run away from home. Here. Franz! Franz!
Oh, yes, to travel. Well, I have here a postcard which was delivered to our flat this morning, but it seems the postal officials must have made some mistake. You see, it's addressed to someone named Lisette and signed by
Belinda.
A postcard for me! I have never gotten a postcard before.
Here it is. Shall I read it to you?
Oh, yes, please do.
Oh yes, please do.
Dear Lisette, there comes a time in a young person's life when she must leave her home and those who have cared for her.
Oh.
I am writing to you from the platform of a tram, and I feel so uncertain of my footing in this world. The tram will take me to the Hauptbahnhof. So often, life seems like a vision from a tram or a train window. We sit and watch passively as the images and characters go by. Because we can't see in front of us, we don't know where we're going or why. Life must not be like this. Life should be like climbing a mountain, striving toward a summit, seeking to attain a goal. Through this journey, I hope to find my place in the world. Hugs and kisses, Belinda.
I did not know my doll could write. I never saw her write anything before.
That certainly is amazing.
I do hope she has a pleasant journey and comes back to me.
I am sure that she is off to a wonderful adventure. So you see, dear Lizette, you shouldn't trouble yourself about Belinda anymore.
But where is she going? What will happen to her? What is she looking for? I have so many questions.
Why don't you meet us back here in a few days? Right here at this park bench? Perhaps some more postcards will arrive from your little lost Belinda, and we can read them to you.
Oh yes, Nanny takes me here anytime the handsome police are on parade.
We are delighted that Nanny takes such good care of you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Cheers.
I'm looking forward to this. Let's go home and see if we can't find some of those postcards. Perhaps you left them on your writing desk. Where do you think Belinda goes, Franz?
I was thinking she could visit some of the places I've written about. China, the Middle East, Prague, America. Maybe another adventure or two thrown in for good measure.
Those sound fascinating.
Oh, Nanny, the beautiful young woman and the severe man are not here in the park today. We must come back again tomorrow, in case they have received another postcard from Belinda.
All right. I don't see Lizette here in the park today. I see no handsome police, therefore no Nanny, therefore no Lizette. Franz, I'd like you to read me the next few postcards before you read them to her.
Do you not trust that I can write a simple postcard?
I trust that you can write implicitly, but there is never anything simple about you.
Well then, here we are. Come. Have a seat, my dear. This is the first postcard. Dear Lizette, my train pulled in at 6 o'clock this morning to the Hlavní nádraží train station in Prague, capital of the newly free state of Czechoslovakia. It seems a magical place, a bit on the fringe, perhaps, but full of hope and bustle. The old part of town near the Altstadt ring looks much as it must have looked when Mozart and Tycho Brahe worked here. There are so many statues and gargoyles, alluring and mysterious. The heart of the city is an ancient stone bridge, flanked by the statues of brooding saints blackened by years of soot and smoke. I walked across the bridge at dawn as the fog rose over the river. It seemed as if the whole world were a very narrow bridge, and the main thing was to cross it without fear. Oh, Lizette, how cowed I felt by all those holy men looking down at me in my sinfulness and smallness. My favorite saint is Francis of Assisi because he was so gentle and so kind. The statue on the bridge shows him standing, his hand over his heart, looking down with compassion and flanked by two seraphim. As I stood looking up at St. Francis, imagine what happened. A large beetle crawled up St. Francis's neck and sat down right on the tip of his nose. Oh, Lizette, how that must have tickled poor Francis. I wish he could have moved his great stone arm and swatted the beetle like a giant Catholic golem come to life, but then I thought, no. St. Francis wouldn't swat the beetle. St. Francis would have blessed the beetle. St. Francis, you see, blesses the animali. He is their patron saint. According to St. Francis, every creature is a blessing. and the part of God's plan. But Lisette, what blessing could there possibly be for such a monstrous insect? From Prague, I will travel by train to the coast of Bohemia and then board a ship for the Holy Land. I will write to you from there. Hugs and kisses, Belinda. What blessing indeed. May the God of our fathers bless you, Beetle, and make you less fruitful than Gregor Samsa, who died from an infected apple rotting in his back. Fruitfulness, you see, is generally considered to be a blessing, but in my story of the transformation, being fruitful, literally full of fruit, becomes a symbol of decay, disease, and death.
Well, I for one refuse to believe that carrying a seed inside one's body could be considered a curse. How on earth did you fit all those words onto one tiny postcard? It is beautiful, Franz, like everything you write, but perhaps a little too erudite for Lisette.
Too erudite.
Do you honestly expect a child to know who Tycho Brahe is?
It's possible.
You can't read this to Lisette. I will have to edit it for you, like your friend Max does.
Dora. Sweetheart, if you take... Dora, you can't... I wrote this part. Dora. Here's our little friend now.
Hello, Fräulein Dora. Hello, Herr Kafka. Have you brought any news from my Belinda today?
Good day to you, little Miss Lisette. As a matter of fact, we have brought you news.
Oh, how wonderful!
I'll read it for you. Dear Lisette, I am in Prague, capital of Czechoslovakia. It seems a magical place, full of hope and bustle. It is all very alluring and mysterious. The heart of the city is an ancient bridge, guarded by the statues of saints. My favorite is St. Francis of Assisi, because he was so gentle and so kind. His statue on the bridge shows his hand over his heart, flanked by two seraphim. As I watched him, I saw a bug crawl up Francis's neck and onto the tip of his nose. Oh, Lisette, how that must have tickled poor Francis. I wish he could have raised his great stone arm and swatted the bug from his nose. But St. Francis wouldn't swat the bug. He would bless it. St. Francis, you see, blesses animals. He is their patron saint. Hugs and kisses, Belinda.
Oh, thank you, Fräulein Dora. Prague sounds like a very special place. I hope I can visit there one day when I grow up. It is so exciting hearing about Belinda's travels. I miss her so much.
If Max edited my stories the way you do, there would be practically nothing left to edit.
Max doesn't have to read to little girls.
Okay.
Do you think we're helping her?
She seems a bit less unhappy. Perhaps it is a St. Francis blessing her. I believe I have one or two more postcards from Belinda.
Franz, I wish you would have let me read these postcards before coming to the park. It is very difficult for me to edit them as I stand here.
Well, it's very entertaining for me to watch you do it.
Where did Belinda go on her next adventure?
I believe Belinda wrote that she would visit the Holy Land.
Yes, my love. She'll get there soon enough. But first, it appears that Belinda has taken a detour into the depths.
The depths of her soul.
Well, yes, there, of course. But I meant the literal depths. Depths of the sea. Belinda has had an encounter with the Greek god Poseidon.
Oh, you have adapted your short story.
Just so.
Here, let me read it. Dearest Lisette, when we reached the Mediterranean, a great storm arose and tossed our little ship here and about. A giant wave came and whoosh, smashed our little bark to pieces. Into the sea we fell. I thought we were done for sure. How did I survive, you ask? Well, we passengers were rescued by a minion of the Greek god Poseidon, who carried us to the palace, or rather the cubicle, of the great god himself. great god himself. So I had heard legends of the mighty Poseidon, riding across the waves in his great chariot, while wielding the mythic trident with which to command the oceans. So, imagine my surprise to find the great Poseidon sitting at a desk, doing figures. The administration of all the waters gives him endless work, which he does not enjoy in the slightest. He does it only because it has been assigned to him. Oh, Lizette, how Poseidon poured out his troubles to us, how he had filed many petitions for more cheerful work. But every time the offer of something different was made to him, it turned out that nothing suited him quite as well as his present position. And then Poseidon said to us,
Well, what irritates me the most is to hear of the conceptions that people have formed about me. How I'm always riding about the sea with my trident commanding the tides, when really I just sit here all day doing figures, uninterruptedly. Why, I have hardly seen the sea at all.
after his lament, Poseidon carried us ashore and let fall his trident. Silently, he sat on the rocky coast, and a gull, dazed by his presence, described wavering circles about his head. Oh, Lizette, how different the world turns out to be from our youthful conceptions of it. How disappointing reality is compared to our youthful dreams. Imagine the mighty Poseidon, a glorified accountant. The great god of earthquakes and waves is a bureaucrat. I will write you next from Jerusalem. Hugs and kisses, Belinda.
I'm not so sure I like that story. I think I prefer the mighty Poseidon riding the waves.
Yes, I'm sure Belinda would have preferred it as well. But she's learned a valuable lesson. Life
can be disappointing.
The great Poseidon, lord of the waves, rules over nothing more than a cubicle, reviewing the accounts. Our parents, who we once worshipped as gods, whether benevolent and kind gods or angry and cruel ones, turn out to be just people, lonely and as lost as we are. Once we free ourselves of illusions, we're ready to grow up, to encounter reality. We can't remain children forever.
I am quite confused. Has Belinda become a grown-up? I miss her. I want her back here with me the way she was before.
I think what Belinda is saying, dear, is that she is growing up. She can't stay a child forever. And we can't go backwards. Life can only be lived forwards. We must gather strength from the past and apply it to the present.
I don't want to change, and I don't want Belinda to change or to go so far away from me. I want her back.
Perhaps things are looking up for your little lost Belinda.
How? Is she coming home to me?
Well, it seems that from the depths of the Mediterranean, the sea god has deposited her on the beaches of Tel Aviv. Belinda has reached the Holy Land.
Oh, I hope we can join her there someday.
One day, perhaps, if I ever recover my health. We can open that little restaurant we talked about. You can cook your Polish delicacies and I will serve them to our guests.
You, a waiter, Franz? I don't think that's precisely where your talents lie.
Perhaps you're right. They will come for your cooking and they will stay despite my service.
Please, please tell me what happens to Belinda in the Holy Land.
Yes, my dear, here we are. Dear Lizette, this morning I came to Jerusalem and saw the wall. An ancient structure of orange-hued stones, stained by centuries of tears and sweat. The legend says that at the top of the mountain, over the wall, sits the temple of the one true God. How wonderful would it be to peer over the wall, to behold the temple in all its glory. People gather at the base of the wall to pray and to bicker. Some say there never was a temple. Others say there was once a temple, but it has lain in ruins for centuries. Still others believe that the Son of the one true God descended and became himself the temple. Each faction repeats its version of events with the utmost conviction. Sometimes it seems like for every two people there are three opinions, when really no one knows. How could they? The wall is too high and impossible to climb. Never in 2,000 years could it be scaled. But we sit at its base, our eyes turned upward in longing.
It's not true, you know. The Wailing Wall is only a few meters high.
My wall is a metaphor, my dear. Please do not demolish it with petty realism.
I do not follow any of this. It is such a muddle.
I think what Belinda is saying is that because she is a very small doll, she looked up at the Wailing Wall and it seemed very tall to her. Franz, please continue.
From Jerusalem, we set out into the desert on camels. One night, when my guides were asleep, I crept out into the desert to gaze up at the stars. Suddenly, a swarming pack of jackals surrounded me. A swarming pack of jackals surrounded me. One of them stepped in front of me and spoke.
I'm the oldest jackal for miles around. I'm happy I'm still able to welcome you here. I'd almost given up hope, for we have been waiting for you for an infinitely long amount of time. We know that you are from the north. In the north there is a way of understanding things which you cannot find here among the Arabs.
Maybe. That could be, I said. I'm really not up to judging such things which are so far removed from me. It seems to be a very old conflict. It's probably in the blood, and so will probably only end with blood.
You are very clever. What you said corresponds to our ancient doctrine. Madam, you shall be the one to end the quarrel which divides our world in two. Our ancestors described someone like you as the one who would do it.
It's time to stop, cried the Arab leader of our caravan who had crept up on us from downwind. Now he swung his gigantic whip, and all the jackals fled suddenly. So you know what the animals want? I asked. Of course, he said, it's common knowledge. As long as there are Arabs, these jackals ask every European to judge us. They have absurd hopes, these creatures. That's why we're fond of them. They are our dogs. Finer than the ones you have. Wonderful creatures, aren't they? And how they hate us. Dear Lizette, as I travel the world, I find so much misunderstanding and hatred. And that I feel that I must do something to try to help people to overcome their hatred. But I don't know how to do it. After all, I'm just one little doll, and I feel so inadequate. Love always, Belinda.
Franz, look around you. May I remind you that we are in Weimar, Berlin? One does not exactly have to take a world tour to find misunderstanding and hatred.
Again, my dear, you are defeating the literature of my pen with your sort of pragmatism.
Oh, am I? I did not realize my wit had become so weaponized.
Belinda uses many big words, which I do not understand.
I think what Belinda is saying is that wherever she goes in the world, she finds people quarreling and disagreeing with each other, instead of listening and trying to understand each other. Perhaps she is looking for a way to heal them, to change them for the better.
Oh, is that like when I have fights at school or when I argue with my sister?
Yes, perhaps it is like that. Franz, maybe I should read the remaining postcards to Lisette.
Why?
So I can explain to her anything that is confusing. Temples, Arabs, jackals, misunderstanding and hatred. We're talking to a little girl.
Of course, my love. As you wish.
Apparently Belinda is a very literate doll. I will read you the next postcard.
Oh, thank you, Fräulein Dora. I understand what Belinda writes to me so much better when you read the postcards. Sometimes I'm so confused by what Belinda writes, but you help me to understand. It is so exciting to hear about Belinda's adventures, but I miss her so much.
I know you do, dear. But just because Belinda isn't here with you doesn't mean she doesn't still care about you.
And I haven't stopped caring about her either. Where does Belinda travel to next?
Here is the next postcard.
Oh.
Dear Lisette, we went by train to Baghdad, and then by a camel caravan into the desert, where we came upon the ruins of the great city of Babylon. There, a Bedouin sheikh shared with us this story.
Many centuries ago, the founders of this place said, "Come, let us build us a city and a tower with its top in the sky." Much thought was given for accommodations for the workers. Naturally, every nationality wanted the finest quarters for itself, and this gave rise to disputes. These quarrels never came to an end, and the building of the tower had to be postponed until universal peace was declared. But the idea, once seized in its magnitude, can never vanish. As long as there are men on earth, there will also be the irresistible desire to complete such a building.
I'm not sure why the sheikh told me this story, what it means, or even if it can be believed in its entirety. But what I do know is that I will never look at ruins the same way again. Ruins have so many stories to tell. From the debris of the past, we must find a meaning for the present. If only we can make them speak to us. Hugs and kisses, Belinda.
Stones of ruins can speak to us. In the rush of the winds, they whisper their secrets. You only have to learn to listen for them, to comprehend their languages.
I think what Belinda is saying, dear, is that there are many different stories in the world and many different ways to tell the same story. Each person tells a story in her own way based on her own life.
I think I understand. Nanny once took me and Belinda to a place where a building was being taken down. It was quite ruined, and it made me sad. I learned some workers were going to build a bigger, better, newer building in its place, and I wasn't sad anymore. It was very exciting.